Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Now Crafting at the Osprey Lounge with me, your host, Joey Scalzo. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully, everybody's having a great day. You like my shirt? It's a little festive. Got it down the stole. Even though we're not crafting anything today, did Joey say we're not crafting anything? Yeah, he did. Guess what we're going to? We're going to school. We're going to learn. We're going to do some learning. Yes. About these 4 bottles that I have in front of me. Today's episode is on gin. I know, you hate gin. It's what your parents always drank. Gin and tonics. I know. But these will open your eyes to some wonderful flavors of gins from sort of around the world, if you will. But let's start with this one right here. This is Bull's Jennifer. Jennifer? I thought, Joey, you said we were going to do gin. Well, Jennifer is actually the predecessor to gin. Jennifer came from Holland. Jennifer came into play around the 15th century. It is juniper based. Let's sort of back up a little bit. All gins have to be juniper based in order to be considered a gin, because if not, it would just be vodka, a neutral spirit. Ugh, just kidding. Love you, vodka. Really, I do. Not really. Anyway, Jennifer, created in Holland, the Netherlands. Jennifer is juniper based, but instead of just a neutral grain spirit, it is made from a malted grain spirit. So when you malt something, you just basically let it grow a little bit, and then you cook it down for the sugars, and then you ferment that, and then you take that fermented alcohol, and then you distill it to create a higher proofed spirit. Proof we'll talk about in another episode, but basically proof, when something's on proof, it's just 80 proof. That's it. You'll see it on the front of every bottle of spirit that you get. You'll see it on the front of the bottle. 80 proof is proof, on proof. Something's on proof. Something's overproofed, it's over 80. If something's underproofed, it's under 80. So, Bull's Jennifer, it is a very acquired taste. It's like a sipping gin because of the maltiness of the actual grain when it's distilled. It almost has a smoky characteristic. So it's better for you to just try this over ice instead of trying to mix a cocktail, but you can mix a cocktail with it. It does make delicious cocktails. Some lemon juice, a little soda water, a little sugar, delicious, really good cocktails. Jennifer, 15th century. Then, during the Dutch-Portuguese War, the English said, wait a minute, I like this Jennifer stuff, but let's change it a little bit. Let's change it up. Let's make it to our taste, to our specifications. So around the 17th century, the English decided to capitalize on Jennifer and create their own style of gin. Once again, juniper based. This is Tanqueray. It's a London based dry gin. So what does that mean? London dry gin. London dry gin. I shouldn't say London based, but London dry gin. So basically, London dry gin is sort of a designate, a way that they make it. London just has to do with the proof, as I spoke of earlier. If it's not a London dry gin, then it's not overproofed. So what did I say overproofed is? Overproofed is over 80 proof. So on the front of the bottle, you'll see that it is over 80 proof. Any London dry gin. Once again, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to the Jennifer. Jennifer, this is imported from Lucas Bowles. They carry a line of cordials, orange curacao, triple sec, all those other fun mixing cordials that you use to create cocktails. Back to Tanqueray, sorry. Tanqueray comes from our friends over at Diageo, so they import this over here. London dry gin. So London has to do with the proof. Dry has to do with the sugar content of the spirit. So there's only a slight part per million of sugar that can be added to this during the distillation process that will consider it dry. Because when you talk about dry and sweetness, dry means it's not sweet. So basically, London dry gin. Heavily juniper based. Other London dry gins, that are similar to Tanqueray, Beefeater, Bombay Sapphire. There's several of them. But gin doesn't have to be specifically from London, from England. Gin can be made all over the world. In order for it to be considered a London dry gin, you have to follow those two basic steps, maybe three. Two, London overproofed, dry, sugar parts per million, and juniper is the primary botanical. You can put other botanicals in it. Tanqueray puts all different kinds of botanicals. Every gin uses a secret recipe, if you will. Some of them will tell you what generally is in it, but most of them only say the primary few botanicals that are in it, and then they have a few that are secret. Now, I come over to Bulldog Gin. This is also a London dry gin. Juniper based, but not heavily juniper based. That's why I like this gin a lot. This gin is savory. It's not as sort of juniper-y based, Christmas tree, sort of rosemary flavor in your face. This uses like almond and poppy seed and dragon's eye as part of their botanical recipe. It is a London dry gin because it's juniper based. It's overproofed, and it only has a certain amount of sugar in the parts per million during the distillation process. Last but not least, Bulldog comes from Campari, my friends over at Campari. Last but not least, we have Hendrick's Gin, not a London dry gin. Hendrick's Gin comes from Scotland. So this is juniper based. It does follow the gin category, but they use more floral botanicals. They use cucumber, they use rose petal. It's a lighter gin. It's easier drinking. It's a little overproof, but not a lot of overproof. Let me clear this up. London dry gins have to be close to 96 proof. This is a little over 80 proof. In order to become a London dry gin, it has to be close to 96 proof, give or take a few percentage points. This Hendrick's from William Grant & Sons, my friends over at William Grant & Sons. And these all make great cocktails. Remember, the Genever, depending on where you're from, it's more of a sipping gin. I wouldn't use it in a martini with dry vermouth. I wouldn't do that. You could try it, but if you're a beginner on that, I would not try it with that. Tanqueray, they make delicious martinis. Bulldog Gin makes delicious savory martinis. Hendrick's Gin makes great easy drinking gin and tonics, and also it works great with Saint-Germain, an elderflower liqueur. Really good, flavorful, sweeter martinis, if you will. Gins. Any questions? Put them in the comments below. While you're there, like and subscribe, please. Once again, my name is Joey Scalzo, and this is Now Crafting at the Osprey Lounge. I have two websites in addition to my YouTube channel. So if you're on the entertainment side, I have joebiz.net, joebiz.net. And if you're on the educational side in the hospitality industry, I have joebiz.org, joebiz.org. Depending on which side of the coin you're on, you can go to either or both. But please like and subscribe if you like and subscribe. Once again, my name is Joey Scalzo. This is Now Crafting at the Osprey Lounge. Have a good one.